My name's Peter Anderton, and I work with MDs and directors in the professional services industry who need their teams to go further and faster, but without everything depending on them. I'm a speaker, I'm an executive coach, and I'm a leadership engineer, and I work with organizations through keynotes at conferences to really challenge leaders' thinking in an organization. I very much focus on the mindset of leadership. It's not about tools and techniques. It's not about gathering things in your toolbox that, frankly, most of the time you're never going to use. It's about how you think as a leader. That's what makes the difference. Knowing what leadership is about, to really getting the mindset of leadership, to then adopting it. And once you've got the mindset of leadership, everything else starts to fall into place. But you've got to get that right first. The analogy I think that's quite useful for this is a mobile phone. Leadership isn't about the apps. It's not about the tools and techniques. Leadership is about the operating system. Get the operating system right, everything else falls into place. The operating system is the mindset of leadership. One of the things that really frustrates me in today's world is just how complex leadership has become. There are so many concepts and models and theories and ideas and tools and techniques. You try and piece them all together and you get some sort of complex chemical formula that you need to be a university professor to understand. And my take is that is just totally wrong. And I'm never going to tell anybody that leadership is easy, because it's not. But leadership is simple. Everything we need to know about leadership comes down to two fundamental rules, and everything else is noise. And when we get and apply them, then we can see massive differences in our team, in our organization, and business as a whole. I work through a process where we co-create the output. So we can see a core set of subjects and topics and ideas and concepts that we need to work our way through, but we'll work our way through it almost on a discussion basis. And then through this whole process and the discussion that ensues from that, they're actually developing their own masterclass. So yes, they're learning from me, but they're learning from each other. And the conversation we have then is something that enables them to shift their mindset. Because it's one thing having somebody say, here's how to look at leadership. It's another thing to get it. I usually run a subsequent follow-up, because the idea is we talk then about what they've done with what they've learned. The whole ethos of the way that it works is you have to apply it. Then what we realize is that this works when the mindset is in place, and then the rest of it follows. Rule number one's an interesting one because it takes a massive amount of self-imposed pressure off the leaders. The focus of the leader's attention shifts away from it all being on them. They're actually the conductor of the orchestra, and they're drawing it out of those who are around them. It's not their job to dive in and be the superhero. It's their job to create superheroes. And rule number one of leadership says it's not about you. It's not about your solutions. It's not about your way of doing things, and it's not about your ego. The worst people you've ever worked for were utterly focused on themselves, and the best people you've ever worked for were not focused on themselves. They were focused on you and helping you become the best that you can be. It's not your job to deliver the result. It's your job to deliver the team who deliver the result. I'll give you an interesting example. One of my coaching clients I would describe as cursed. He's cursed with being brilliant at just about everything that he and his team do. And the problem he's got to is the fact that everything's become reliant upon him. But as you start to grow, as you start to get larger as an organization, you become the bottleneck for your team. And your organization never becomes what it has the potential to be. But 6 months further down the line, they're coming up with solutions. They're coming up with ideas. They're hitting roadblocks and solving them themselves rather than handing it back up to him because they think he'll do a better job. He's improved his time constraint. He's having a phenomenal impact on what the team are actually able to deliver. And it all comes back to the thing that made the biggest difference for him was recognizing it wasn't his job to deliver the result. It was his job to deliver the team who deliver the result. There's a tipping point in any leader's career where their ability to deliver results through other people becomes infinitely more important than their ability to deliver results themselves. And there are too many leaders out there that never make that transition. They still think their job is delivering the results. And it's only the ones who get over that tipping point and realize that the core thing that I'm delivering is enabling my team to become the best it can possibly be. And when that starts to happen all the way down through the organization, all these bottlenecks that are limiting your potential growth, they start to shift. And you see an organization that's opening up to all sorts of possibilities. One of the things we need to understand when it comes to the different generations, millennials or whatever generation it is, they appear to have different requirements, but what's happening in reality is they have a lower threshold, a lower tolerance for poor leadership. So people say millennials, they desperately want feedback all of the time and they're hungry for it. Actually, we all benefit from feedback. We all like it in different ways, but there are too many generations previously that have just learned to live without it. They work on the principle that no news is good news, that it's fine. And all that happens is you slide into mediocrity without it. What we need to do is get to the roots of leadership and what's really needed for every generation. Let's move away from mediocrity in leadership to actually really engaging and empowering and giving meaning to the work that we do. People talk about leadership as though it's all about vision, that you have to be the one with the perfect vision. You have to be the one that only you can see what needs to be done, and your job is convincing everybody else to follow you. It's nonsense. It's not the essence of leadership. The leader is responsible for making sure there is a vision, but the best leaders will make it a shared vision. There are brilliant leaders out there who are very insightful and incredibly visionary, but that's not what leadership is. Leadership is about moving people from A to B, but you don't have to be the one who's worked out exactly where B should be. And the best leaders have worked with a range of people to identify where B should be, and they've worked with a team to make it happen. So let's park the fact that leadership is all about vision and recognize that there needs to be a vision, and the leader's responsible for making sure that it's there, but the best leaders will work with the organization to draw this from the organization and then make it happen.